having a little bit of mid control and B control with AGM, locking things down with their or with his utility. But it kind of comes down to how many rounds I feel like they take off of this side, or how many rounds Mafia can take off of this side, because while it's not always the case, I do feel like there's a little bit of a defense favor for this map. So
I agree, it's definitely a little more on the defensive heavy side of things, but the Mafia can definitely make things happen. We saw what they're capable of on the attack, especially with individuals like Miniature and Dynamic. Dim Sum Boy came online towards the tail end of that one too, so if they continue their form from Ascent, it's going to be a scary Mafia to deal with. I think even Al Capone would be afraid. Rocketing a little bit of damage done. Dinked down, though. That's a lot of damage dealt by the Mafia early on. But look at this Tile's pressure. Is Critical going to be aware of this? He's going to clear not. No, he's not. No, he's not.
No.
And they don't know. AGM's yet to be discovered. AGM hasn't moved. Miniature hard clears that, though, and Ed gets a second. Hello, Miniature. Are you insane? I think he is. Nilias, rather, is going to drop brawk as well, and they're going to rotate out towards A. This is a complete and total bait and switch toy with your opponents. Mafia.
Miniature is still a raid boss, apparently. It's like, how long can you keep this up? You're a freaking Cypher. And here you are, once again, rocking things out for your team. That was a swing and very well executed. So this is complexity. They're going to have to adjust a bit here. They're on their save round, and I like that they've spread themselves the way that they are here, pretty much abandoning AGM to hold down B and mid, while the rest of his teammates are going to try and be a little bit more stacked on A side. And I like this call because that's where the spike is.
Dynamic mows down one, cannot get the second just yet. Nilias is there, 1-for-1 trades as the eco round of complexity finds at least one mark to take out. jcrueL continuing to dance around with death, and the waltz may very well go in his favor as Dynamic is getting taken down very low, and jcrueL finishes the job. Miniature gets dinked and dropped by AGM too, and a very costly anti-eco round now for the Mafia, and this isn't even over yet. AGM has a chance here. A little tactical crouch coming in from the Killjoy. Out comes Critical, though. Knife was in the hands of AGM. And the Mafia, 2-0, but a costly one nonetheless.
Yeah, I mean, at that point, as AGM, I don't even think he cares that he was going to die. I almost feel like he does want to die for that, you know, money situation that they have going here. They are on their rifles. We see the operator, once again, coming out. Comfort rifle, or comfort sniper gun for jcrueL. And I do like this setup still that the complexity are doing here. It's all about now for Mafia trying to kind of spread things out, popping that alarm bot at middle, but not necessarily committing. But it's the same as the playbook that they've run at Haven. 4 on one side, Miniature on the other.
It is the bonus. And they have found success with these bonus rounds, but it's not necessarily a round, I think, that the Mafia should be able to win right now against Complexity. However, those rounds have not necessarily gone the way we've anticipated throughout this series, especially on Icebox in that overtime session. I like this rotation, though. I like the early presence being now just feeling out the map, seeing where Complexity might be. If you could take out one of these players and pick up a rifle, that's going to make this round so much more likely.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of noises made short, but that spike, once again, making its way onto B. But they're going to run into pretty much all of AGM's utility, and ohai already sitting here as well to back the team up. And it's brawk, though, that will find first blood. Oh.
Spike down.
Spike.
One enemy remaining.
Ohai! Oh. That's what Complexity need right there. It's an individual step up. They need someone to be willing to take that hit to make a play. Ohai took the risk. It paid off with 3. But that was the anti-force buy. That was the anti-bonus for complexity. Now here comes their real test. And Miniature has a very special gun in his hands.
Of course he does. It's that Guardian. We've seen him pop off with it. I mean, both Bird ladies, though, leading the top of the scoreboard. Ohai with those Seekers already ready in play with Nilia's. Just needs an orb or a kill to get his up as well. That's the strength of that Sky here as Valyn gets spotted, gets a little bit of a chip damage, forced to fall back and reset. But, I mean, A completely abandoned on the side of complexity. They're going to play retake on this one.
Out comes the Trailblazer, A side to be the point of contention. Seekers are going forward, and they know at least one is in the garden. But jcrueL swings out once with the operator, and Critical has hit the deck. Plant will come through from Dim Sum Boy, as jcrueL still waits. The door has been shut out towards garden, but it has been blown asunder. brawk drones in, has the information. Seekers out now for ohai. Flash will come through too. Blinded, but Dim Sum Boy and Ilias have 2 quick ones. Valorant trades it back 3v2, but Dim Sum Boy and Ilias 2 more. As it's all left on jcrueL, and he has to fall away, he has to fade away. The op must be saved for complexity, and the Mafia, with a stunning round here, kick complexity off of the site and take some new turf for their own.
That was very sweet post-plant positions on the side of the Mafia to just hold things down, protect that spike. And I mean, I don't even know if complexity were expecting it to be planted so deep the way it was, that they're forced to like come out. Typically you're seeing a normal like default spot, like what, by generator, or maybe somewhere like a middle, if anything, like it's off to the side. So that really made it a little difficult for them, because then they're forced to show themselves a lot more to try and get those picks, because it allowed Mafia to play a little more deep inside without having to necessarily hold down main. And we're seeing a little bit of the same here. It's still 4 sitting outside the borders of A, but this time around there is some adjustment as far as how complexity are playing it by putting jcrueL with the operator there. Not really feeling that commitment as he falls back, but that's okay because the Mafia, they're falling back too.
Miniature signals for his team to rotate over and congregate over towards B. The team has now joined up. The turret was destroyed, but the dog will find a stun. Quite a bit of information for ohai. Critical will counter with the owl drone. Spots out one and both players. The rotation of the Sova is going to come through, and brawk, there's no information on his positioning. Now Valyn has picked up a lurker towards A. Dynamic falls, and Miniature has to bust out onto B. jcrueL with another out towards middle. This is going to signal a basically collapse of a round for the Mafia, unless Miniature and company can win these aim duels outright. They need it clean, and Miniature has been spotted by the recon bolt. They know exactly where he is. A reload will be allowed to come through, but a shock dart will chunk him down considerably. AGM swings for the headshot. brawk will have Critical's number, and now Nilias 1v5, and now he's no longer alive. 2-3. Complexity bring it back with a team ace.
Yeah, I mean, that was the hold or the push that they had, like readjusting some of the players on complexity. That little bit of a chessboard here, putting jcrueL instead over on A main to try and get a pick with that operator, really made the Mafia very hesitant, because this time around they're like, okay, A is not so free anymore. And they're still doing something similar, but a lot more passive this time around, with jcrueL sitting like far back, the operator still online. Meanwhile, look at the spread that is Mafia trying to see if they can find a pick or any other information of sorts here, as mid seems to be where they want to congress and try to figure out which site they want to commit to. It's a bit of a save, right? This is Nelia's on the Spectre, Bladestorm out on Dynamic, but you're dealing with the rifles that Complexity has on hand, so gonna be a little bit tough.
brawk This is the owl drone to reveal all, but he only spots out one towards tiles. Niliaz and most importantly, Dynamic with a Blade Storm have not been revealed to the eye. They'll rotate up catwalk, at least for now, and we'll see where they want to end, but Valyn could shut this all down. Has a good shot at it, but the Hawk will force him back. In comes the Gravity Well, though. More time being bought. And a Cosmic Divide from the Mafia used over here. They're going to have to push through onto the side through the Cosmic Divide. That's going to be risky. And Dynamic might just have to go through. Critical is holding the plant, faking the plant. A lot of sprays coming through. Critical just pushed forward with the spike. Valyn could have punished. Brawk will. Dynamic only one as ohai and Brawk trade 2 back. And now jcrueL finishes the clone. 3-3 complexity. Stalwart on the defense here. Despite a lot of opportunity for the Mafia, complexity, they never relinquished anything. They never lost their cool. This is a good response from them, especially seeing how things went on Icebox. Complexity, much better look here in the early going on Ascent.
Yeah, like that Cosmic Divide allowed them entry and to get that spike down, but it really didn't allow them to have a good enough, post-plant position, having to deal with that dance, through and from that little embryo wall, but it was the Mafia getting picked off every time they tried to cross that stream. I mean, complexity, they're just also, again, doing a lot of these pickoffs right here, and this is the buy round that Mafia kind of needs if they want to maintain their momentum being on this side.
Yeah, Mafia kind of really need this round to keep that lead, and most importantly, take away any bit of mental toughness complexity might have built up. But that spike, if I'm not mistaken, is down at the feet of the Sova on the B walk. At least that's where it shows on the minimap.
Yeah.
And that's about as bad as it can get for the Mafia. That's a save round right now from them. And they're already positioned for it. It's going to be a long 50 seconds for them, and I don't think Complexity are going to be too content to force this either. They don't necessarily have the best of economies.
I almost I'm curious if they realize I want to say, what was it, the Jet with the spike having to dash through, either it was a miscommunication or a misplay that their entry is the
30
one
seconds
carrying it, to pretty much drop it at the feet of Complexity and say, here you go, keep an eye on it, we'll see you later.
Yeah,
But
I feel like that's a big blunder.
I mean, now you're having to deal with what? All of this ultimates available online on the side of Complexity. A frazzled buy coming
10
into this
seconds
for the
left.
next round for the Mafia. Well, maybe, I mean, Dimson Boy's sitting with, that's the Guardian, so maybe it won't be so bad for the buy, but it's gonna be a pivotal round for them.
Yeah,
And it's gonna be hard because they're pushing into a lot of control and what do you call it, security on the side of Complexity. Look, AGM lockdown will be available. All he needs is an ultimate orb, maybe a kill. Either way, that's going to be another ultimate that they have to deal with, trying to push into this. Brawk rocking that Odin as well, so you're going to have to be careful. Sova with the Odin, scary.
And ohai's been given the operator. I think, it's a B main aggressive play. That's what they want to go for. ohai's going to establish control, flashing all the way through. Brawk's activated the Hunter's Fury. Will catch one here for sure, but will not get a kill. Miniature's also domed jcrueL and has a tag on another. Valyn, though, will trade out his phone teammate as the rest of the squad from the Mafia pushes out towards A. They want to make this their home. In comes the attacking Hunter's Fury. It does not get a kill, but Dimsum Boy has eliminated jcrueL in the meantime. Valyn, though, making 3 kills in the round for him. Dynamic just outside that smoke. Just not at the spike. May try and swing across. Knows that the sky was healing. Trailblazer reveals one. The spike gets to go down though. The door will fall.
Revealing area.
Oh, nice.
The Odin, this is where it becomes so scary. It's just gonna mow people down, but the tag, the information. That's big. In comes this take from Complexity and Valyn and ohai. Simultaneous on the headshots. That is clean.
It's all good. It's all good. Valyn takes those. He's all about the 4Ks today, right? No aces. We don't need it. but very happy round from a bit chaotic once that once the Mafia made their way onto site, but the rotation they still have to deal with. Again, it's all about complexity. They need to understand that they do the same thing. Miniature is lurking. Miniature is going to be holding an Ares this time around too. That's their save round strategy. And again, still lurking. But if Complexity are paying attention to the economy situation right now that the Mafia is in, and I like it, look at just how far back and how deep on their side they're going to be playing this.
Right there.
Complexity, they're learning well from their mistakes on Icebox. They're adapting well to this, and Valent's going to continue his hot form. Drops critical early on. jcrueL will eliminate Dimsum Boy with the op. Now, in towards Garden goes the Jet. Brawk will finish the job. Miniature falls to the hands of AGM. And Niliez, last alive with a spike. But not much of a hope or a prayer here in this round. Maybe gets one.
There can be miracles, if you believe, but it's not this time around. Your god has abandoned you, and it is Ohai who takes the finishing touch. And Complexity, this is 5 rounds in a row that they've won. The frazzled economy that the Mafia is holding in their bank. This is going to be a pivotal round for them. They have rifles. They have ultimates to play with. Seekers are available. Could use that to open up a site. The frustrating thing is you're looking at Complexity side. You're going to have to push through a Cosmic Divide, a Lockdown, all of that Killjoy utility available. And they're not even playing so aggressive that you can get that pick. Instead, Brawk finds his doppelganger critical. First to fall, and again, Mafia has to be really wondering what they can do here to try and push through all of this.
Where was this Complexity for the last about 10 rounds in Icebox?
They were apparently on this map already.
They were just waiting for Ascent? I mean, if they would have played
Maybe
like
they got
this,
sick of the map. There it is. The Seekers are coming out still, despite the man disadvantage. I mean, they have that information, but they are still getting picked off. It's all about getting that spike down. A little bit of money, but Lockdown committed on the side of Complexity here. They want this round.
They're hungry right now, Complexity. Miniature dashes away from the Lockdown, last alive. Definitely a dangerous player, but such a good flash there from ohai to force Miniature away. jcrueL holding the line in Miniature. Not able to pull off anything fancy. Just too many Complexity players. The confidence now running rampant on the side of COL, and it's just getting real messy for anyone up against this squad. Then again, it was 8-4 going to the second half on Icebox. A similar scoreline may very well happen here on Ascent. Complexity cannot get complacent. They cannot rest on their laurels.
Absolutely not. Like you said, this is... just because you're sitting pretty on this side, as we witnessed in the map prior, as we know of how this map typically plays out when you're on the attacker side compared to the defense side, you want to take as much rounds as possible off of the Mafia here if you're Complexity. And I like their setup. Yeah.
Mafia's on another one of those broken buys here too, and jcrueL is going to start things off quite nicely. Good player to drop in the early going too. And the Mafia don't even really look like they want to contest the spike at all. They just want to get some kills and maybe upgrade a gun, but Complexity's money's too strong. It's not like economic damage is going to even be too much of a problem for them, as it's going to be a mop-up here. Valyn actually does not connect the second kill onto Dimsum Boy. There's a little bit of a window, but ohai closes that little gap, blocks it. And Dimsum Boy with the Phantom, little 1v4, has a Cosmic Divide to be used in the next round. Don't think he'll use it here. Closes the gate and goes right through. ohai spotted, do some damage, and
wow,
almost a kill. That's a little unlucky there for ohai. Oh! Well then.
I mean, you're happy with that, but how it doesn't really do that much of an impact. Complexity, they have life savings for days. They can full buy, still sit pretty, and it's almost looking like if they have the mental fortitude to carry this through, then yes, they can take this 9-3 at the half. But one round prior to swinging it over for the Mafia can absolutely swing things in their favor here. But Dynamic looking pretty poor. I don't. He does not have that gun. He's just looking for that orb to get his blade storm. That's what he wants to play with here.
That's a good gravity well to allow Dynamic a chance at the orb. Dynamic's gonna grab it.
There it is.
Blade storms are possible now, and there they are, activated. Miniature lurking. Has a friend this time though, learning from previous mistakes. Adaptation is the name of the game. jcrueL, that's very aggressive position down towards tiles. Has to be careful not to get punished. Mafia, they're going to rotate around a little bit. They're not content with this A site. Mid may very well be their plane. jcrueL's abandoned it.
I think that's a good plan, that Owl Drone of trying to push them back, but you don't want to give the Mafia any picks. You're holding with the operator, you have your Blade Storm. 30 seconds is fast approaching, and it's really on the Mafia to make something happen here. They want to commit that Cosmic Divide for sure. If they can get a kill, Neural Theft as well would help them out. But it's AGM trying to hold down site here. Forces all of those blades. And gets that kill as well before finally to fall with that Guardian as the rest of his team making their way through. Miniature, please!
10 seconds left.
8-4 looking likely here. Cosmic Divide out. Walls off Boathouse. So high. Spamming through. Has the Seekers out. Will unleash them. Sends a Hawk forward to caught out. Too many different angles. And the Mafia with a clean 4th round to end this half. It was a long streak for Complexity there in the mid portions. But this is the same scoreline we saw in Icebox. We cannot count the Mafia out here. This is almost, I don't want to say the word, I am not going to say the word what I'm reading here in the cards, my Tarot deck, but
That goes there.
let's just say Fortunate Son might be starting to play in my background.
Right. I mean, it's definitely scary when, you're on the attack. So it all comes down to how Complexity want to play this. Do they want to play a default, which right now they're doing a 3-2 split, even keeping an eye on mid, so there's definitely going to be some sort of mid control here, or do they just want to bum rush a site, which they could if they play the timer right, because that's kind of the issue. That's what happened last round, right? When you're running that timer round, if you're in the defense, you get very confused and very spread out as far as where you want to commit, because you don't know where the enemy is going to rush to, because it has to be a rush. 30 seconds left on the clock. It's going to be either one site, and all of them are going to be there. Oh, Dynamic though.
Oh yeah. Oh.
Trade.
Unfortunate dash right there for Dynamic. Runs into a wall. Gets punished. Miniature unable to come up with anything. That's an uncharacteristic miss for him, and Complexity storming into this site looking for the pistol round. Valyn has another headshot and make it 4. Valyn is heating up here on this final map.
Another 4K for Valyn. Put that 4K on your belt. Maybe change your name to Complexity Valyn.4K. I don't know. Something. But that is what? The 4th or the 5th today that we've seen him do that.
Yep.
And if you're Complexity, you have to be happy with that round. I was going to say this is almost a guarantee win for them again. But no, we've seen the Mafia do this time and time again. They force. They win it. So if you're Complexity, you have to keep that in mind and kind of be careful here as you try to push through, which I feel like they do understand that this is probably and most likely a force on the side of the Mafia. Typically with Complexity and a win on the first pistol round, or actually honestly whatever happens on the first pistol round, they usually play very aggressive for the second. Not this time.
They're adapting. They're evolving. They are trying to find a way around this Mafia side.
they still have the time. A minute still left on the clock. Even respecting the fact that, like, yeah, let's walk through here. Dynamic. Valyn will find him. They'll heal them up, but this is still 3 players on the side of the Mafia holding that down. So I kind of like this force rotate back to the other side because they're only going to have to deal with miniature. And as I say that, though, they do have to deal with miniature. So that's kind of the issue here, right?
He's got the information too, and a judge! But oh, that's a great trade. That is a huge trade. Minimizing miniatures damage, keeping the man advantage. Critical is going to dive in here, get spotted out by the recon ball. That's going to cancel that, but Dim Sum Boy, headshot on a brawk. We're not done just yet. Spike goes down. Ohai has to dash back at a boathouse and take cover under the roof. Valyn holding back as well, gets a little closer, closes the gap. Niliaz and Critical ready to go in, and here comes the jet player of jcrueL. The judge works out well. All 3 players find 1 kill apiece. And complexity, double digits, 10-4. But wasn't it 11-4 on the last map?
All I know is that jcrueL felt very happy to get that little judge donated to him. And again, it's all about that buddy system here, right?
Oh yeah.
You have to expect someone playing on site. Nobody fully rotates out between these 2 teams. And they expected that with Miniature, who's constantly on his own, lurking through. And they got that trade. Oh, but look at this push! jcrueL, again, that judge feels good, finds himself 2.
What a shot from Dynamic there. The judge is now no longer a factor to deal with, and Dynamic may just become one. brawk, though, answers back with 2. Good spray control on the Spectre, shutting down both those 2 coming in from heaven. And now it all rests on the shoulders of Miniature. Strong shoulders they are, broad. But that shock dart, well placed, so much damage. And now I think the Sheriff will be the weapon of choice for Miniature as he creeps forward, looking for 1. Domes ohai. Now a chance for a 2nd here. Miniature now on the Marshal. Knife out. Sacrificial lamb makes the jump.
Oh, utility.
That egg wins it. The Nanoswarm has to win this round, surely.
At that point, you just want to die. Maybe take another body with you, which he will do. brawk goes bye-bye.
Yeah. Don't call it a 4K.
Oh, this is a nice spot.
11-4.
This goes here.
This.
Yeah, it's a runaway freight train right now for complexity, and it is Valyn on the how is it, the driver's seat? How does that the conductor of the train? I don't know, the engineer, something like that. We're all along for the ride. Don't mind me and my terrible train references. I clearly do not know what I'm talking about, but it is mid. We haven't seen this push for a while now, and I kind of like it. Complexity, I've seen them do this in other games, finally seeing them do it here. It's gonna be a mid-B split, and we're seeing Miniature sitting on the backside, critical, trying to hide through that smoke, but they're spraying him down. And B very much compromised, but there's a Miniature in the back.
Miniature trying to not live up to the name and instead become a big problem, but brawk at HGM. Answer back Dynamic, though, has been another X factor for the side of Mafia, and he needs to stand up taller here. jcrueL makes it a 3v2 for Complexity. Dynamic still in towards control. Dome by Valyn, though, and that should just about end the reign of terror of Miniature and Dynamic in this series as jcrueL swings on to Dim Sum Boy. Plant will come through at the end of things as a bit of an insult to injury, salt in the wound, as you might say. And now 8 rounds stand between Mafia and overtime. 1 round between Complexity and a spot in the grand finals here. The bye from the Mafia is anything but good. Bladestorm from Dynamic, Guardian for Miniature, and Spectres on the rest.
This goes here. That goes there.
You have to force and this makes sense. I'm just kind of curious how they want to adjust this, seeing as, I mean, I like they're gonna play a bit of aggressive, but you have to deal with all of this Astra utility. That's one-way smoke. I mean, Mafia at least have that information. Yes, there are a lot of bodies over on A main. Look at how the rest of the team has pushed through mid, but they're gonna have to deal with that lurk. Again, that is AGM.
AGM is that big snake in the grass, and he's definitely a tough one to deal with. Dynamic goes forward, sends some blades forth. Does not find any kills with it, however. Shock Dart will fail to match. What?
Oh my god.
Hello? They all just lined up for him, making a 4K for him, and don't call it an ace just yet as critical. Spams away with the Sheriff. Dom's ohai too. 1v2, they know where he is, but AGM through the wall. It is finished here. Complexity